this guy's got
He's a
some
homer for
teams
13 different teams
on his resume. Let's get to him right now. We're excited to have Trevor May. You can follow him. I am Trevor May on Twitter, and joining FT Live for the first time. Trevor, how you doing, dude? Happy off season.
What's up, guys? I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Really good. How was the year?
It was interesting. I'm sure you guys were following along, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun for sure.
What made it fun? What was the? Because most people are like, oh, A's, blah blah blah. What made it fun? Because you're out there grinding it out. You're the dude they're bringing in to close these games out.
I mean, had a little bit of success. Yeah, as you guys know, that's always a large part of the fun equation. But honestly, the group of guys I signed here, like I said this right when I signed. I knew the deal. I know. I heard the stories about ownership, and I know how it's. I know all the stuff from the guys who played there before, and I was just looking forward to seeing a group of young dudes. Guys that are going to be the core of that team moving into the future, and just seeing how that develops. I was fortunate enough to be kind of along that ride with the Twins, with the Kepler, Sano, Polanco group, Buxton, all those guys came up, and that was a lot of fun. And then over the Mets, I got so used to the young guys, so it became like something that one of my favorite parts about the game, like helping young guys get a little better, just watching them get become big leaguers. So and that's all there is over here. So. It was good though, like just watching everybody go from day one to the last day, like night and day. Even though I know the record was, but guys maturing and coming in their own a little bit, it's always a fulfilling thing when you're part of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I think of guys like Nick Allen, who I played with as well. He's one of the best slick fielding infielders I've seen. At a young kid coming, he's absolutely beast. My question to you is, it's fun playing Major League Baseball. We get it, the whole thing going on with the A's. Talk to us just a little bit about it. I mean, it had to have been bad at some points with everything going on. How was the food? I mean, everything that happened during the season. Just explain to us, what it was like being a ball player over there.
I mean, the food was good, man. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of things that I was like, I didn't anticipate having these every day, and this is phenomenal. I mean, from the food to the A's stay in nicer hotels most of the time than the Mets did. I'll be honest. The A's probably stay in the nicest total. It's only Ritz, only Four Seasons everywhere. And I'd never been on a team, and I was on the Mets, and I'd never been on a team that has done that. So that was cool. Yeah, and since the CBA stuff changed and the way that food's handled and stuff, they kind of had no choice. So yeah. It was really good. I think that one thing that strikes you if you play for the Oakland A's is how much everyone who works there cares. And how close knit of a family. I mean, baseball is a family, and every stadium's got their group. But everyone who works in the Coliseum has worked there for 30 years. Every single one of them. I think the newest security guard was hired 9 years ago, which is crazy to me. But it's so close knit, and seeing the same people every day, and you're all kind of in it together. I don't know. There was something really cohesive about it all, and you feel welcome. And I think that's one of the places that I think does that better than maybe anywhere.
Yeah, so you definitely saw why the other teams that were good were like, oh, I loved playing here. You talk to Eric Sogar, you talk to Matt Chapman, that kind of thing. But I need one story where you're like the possum in the press box kind of story. Was there one where Brandon Moss always told me the story about how they were flushing the toilets, and what was going down the toilets was coming up the drain. So you can't use that one if that happened or when that happened. But I need one where you're like, whoa, didn't know I'd see that.
Like that's the most A's thing I've ever seen, like that type of thing. I feel like I was saying that pretty regularly. It was always bullpen related. Okay. So this is me. This is my thing. So when I get to the bullpen, I got to the bullpen every day at 4, or in the fourth inning, in the fourth inning in the game. So I'm walking down at the same time every day, and I have my seat. Everyone's kind of got their seats, and everyone's already in their seats when I get there. And there's this chair, this chair from a high school that was broke as shit, just broke as hell, and unsittable, and it kept appearing in my every day. That chair was there. I threw it in the trash next day. It's back. It's like Groundhog's Day. It was there over and over again. I'm like, can we not get a new chair? And I literally go, can I get a chair that is works? And they're like, There are no other chairs.
So
I was told we can't go into one of the 9,000 storage rooms that have not been opened in a decade and just find a chair that doesn't break when I sit in it. And they're like, no. So it became this joke where everybody, like, no matter where that chair was, the guys would find it. They would put it there every day. And then I'd freak out, throw it down the thing, go steal someone else's chair, make them stand up, and then take a knee while I sat in the nice chair. It happened every day. I'm like, this is the most A's thing ever.
Will that chair be there next year?
100%. There's no way. Now it's like it's probably got my name written on it somewhere. But that was my daily like Jesus moment every day.
Your daily grind.
Yeah.
Hey, so you have interest in electrical music. You use the pseudonym DJ Hey Beef.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah, electrical.
That's like
electronic. I'm sorry, electronic.
I'm a big EDM guy, and I heard electrical.
Hey, shoot me dead right now. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's like a dude coming on here and being like, "You guys are really Major League Baseballers, aren't you?"
The MLB.
The MLB.
You see something, you just think it's what's in your mind.
Well,
electronic.
Also, that's not
my vibe, but I want to get to know it a little more. Tell us about it, brother.
Oh, electronic music, also known as EDM, also known as techno to a lot of people. Techno is a subset of EDM, by the way, if anyone's wondering. Yeah, I've always liked electronic music. I've liked it since I was even in high school, like in 08 and 07, 06, like even the 2000 stuff. And then it got really, really popular in the United States in like the late 2010s, late 2010s, sorry, which I was in my early 20s. So I was hanging out at frat parties a lot. They needed DJs.
Yes.
I was like, I can do that. And I like that music. I was the one already like, I hate to say burning the CDs or bringing the iPod, making the playlist in Spotify. That's me. That was always my job. So then might as well spin it live. And then it just kind of got a mind of its own. That's how I get into stuff. And it's just like,
now are you playing this before, you playing this before the games and stuff? Did the team like that or no?
I did some stuff. Actually, in New York, Lindor bought me some speakers, and then I bought the turntables just to have there, and I maybe used them twice. But it was really fun those 2 times. I realized like, oh, when I'm here, I actually have other stuff to do. I can't just like work on mixing. But at home, actually, I bust mine out. It's like that was my big league purchase. Turntables were like, I got to the show and I was like, this is the thing I want. So I got it. It's the first thing I bought. So I'll have those forever. But yeah, I bust those out like every offseason for like a month, put them out on the table, playing 4 or 5 times and put them away.
Some people get a Breitling watch. T. May got himself some turntables.
Hell yeah, baby. I like it. Do you have a favorite, by the way, that you listen to? Favorite DJ, producer?
Yeah, it changes all the time. One that keeps popping back is always like High Low or Oliver Heldens, depending on which moniker you're using with this stuff. But I've been on a drum and bass kick big time lately. So Chasing Status is and Boo is B-O-U is his name. Those two guys have been those two groups have been just doing it for me. Everything they're releasing is awesome.
This is.
I mean, I'm going to Slander this weekend.
He's all excited.
You're making Scott blush right now.
No. I never get to actually hear names like this with conversations. There are some other players more like on the poppier side where it's like, oh, I like Kygo or something. But Trevor's going
or Tiesto.
Right, exactly. Tiesto, those kind of dudes. But
he's going underground. He's going in the woods with you.
Yeah.
The electronic woods.
More up my alley here. So, Trevor, I know you put out a recent pod, right? May Contain Action is the pod. I've heard it before. Want to be able to give everyone a little insight on what you got going on there. So what do you talk about, and do you enjoy doing it? Because we're doing this every day.
Yeah, that is one of my podcasts, the one that I've probably done the most. It's a friend of mine. His name's Action Jackson on Twitch. We met each other through streaming video games, so it started like with interviewing other streamers, talking about people in the streaming area or in the streaming world, Twitch and things. Like we've had Tim the Tatman on, Ninja on, like guys like that. And then a couple times it's been changed a little bit based on what we're into. Right now, though, what we find ourselves talking about constantly is like nostalgic, old content we used to watch, like so old shows, old movies, old like toys, old food, like the Nickelodeon group. So like our first episode coming back a couple weeks ago was we went back and watched Ren and Stimpy again for the first time since we were like 9, and we're like, this show is insane. So like it's basically go back and watch things that you watched as kids as an adult and then evaluate where we're at. So we just actually recorded an episode right before this. We went back and watched Wedding Crashers. So
wow,
that's a it was a good episode, boys. It was a good one. So
Meatloaf,
that'll be love later. Exactly.
Meatloaf.
One of our sections is the quotes, and we spent like 20 minutes on quotes.
There's so many from that movie.
Let me ask you this before you go on. Think of a movie like in your head that has the best quotes. Can you name like what movie you go to? Like everybody uses these quotes. It happens all the time.
It's Wedding Crashers.
Is it?
I say 5 Wedding Crashers quotes a day, probably.
Really? See, I'm going with Major League, bro. I think Major League has a lot of good ones in there.
I do the too high every single game, every day. This guy hits it up and like, it's too high. There's no way. It's way too
bit
high.
outside.
No, there's some good ones. There's some good ones.
Yeah, but I think Wedding Crashers is your generation. Mine is Dumb and Dumber.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, true. Another classic.
Fits you.
I would say that's that's extremely quotable as well.
And old school.
Yes, old school. A lot of Will Ferrell movies are just loaded with quotes. They just are. Hey, was this on one of your pods, or I'm trying to remember, or on Twitter talking AI? Because obviously you're a big tech guy. Did you talk about it on a pod, or was that on Twitter?
Yeah, we're talking about it in the pod way too much. I constantly have to be like, guys, we get it. We really like it. Let's move on, please. We got to talk about Wedding Crashers. Happened again this episode. Sorry, guys. Maybe we'll just do a different pod for that. But there's only about 10,000 of those now, so.
That community is obsessed right now with that topic, which is interesting. So question for you about something else you've been talking about over the last couple of days on Twitter a lot. We've had like 200 player guest appearances on this show this year. And I would say at least 10 times the word sweeper has come up. And I think almost every time a dude's like, fuck the sweeper. Like that's not the word we use, whatever. So can you take us through your thought process on this? Because I know you've been kicking it around on social. And like, I'll just give you a name, for example. Chris Bassett, he's on. He's like, no, it's not a sweeper. It's a slider. So you give me your take and what you've experienced this year, because I know it's been a nice pitch for the repertoire too.
I mean, I can't believe Bass isn't behind it because it's just another button he can put on his stupid thing on his belt. Like, that guy loves having. Come on, Bass. It's a new pitch you can just have now. Like, why are you so against it? God, don't get me started on Bass. Chris Bassett's one of my favorites, but my God, he can be so stubborn as hell about certain things. But I think that I like I love the sweeper. I love probably because they're like, hey, you should try this. And then I tried it. It was really good right away. And I was like, I'm throwing this now. And that's kind of how it worked. Which I feel like is why pitches are getting named, is because guys are able to learn them quick. Like we're figuring out really good ways to teach it and learn it and design it. And so then it gets its own name. I think that's what's happening. So guys threw sweepers. Ottavino's thrown a sweeper for his whole career.
True.
But distinguish it's the way the physics work on the ball is now and that's kind of boring for people to hear, so like they don't want to hear it. But for us, having that distinction is important when we're trying to make decisions. Like I throw a gyro, a slider, a depth slider, and a sweeper. I throw them both. So me calling them different pitches is important for the catcher because they're very different. So that's my context. But of course, why, but let me be very clear. A sweeper is very different than your run-of-the-mill slider that most guys throw with the more depth than horizontal. 100%. Way different. Same thing that a cutter is different than a slider. Come on, Bass.
I'm gonna stick with Bassett here for a little bit because I watched him last year, being in the booth with the Phillies in New York. This dude led the league in shakes. He would shake. Is he going to be the first? Is he going to be the first person to ever shake himself off with the pitch comm on the belt? Like he'll hit it and be like, no.
I think Greinke already did that.
Greinke already. He's like, no, redo.
No, sorry, wrong button. Yeah, he did that in spring, I think, which is so Greinke.
I want to stay with pitching. You brought up talking about the pitch clock, how it gave you anxiety and stuff like that during the year. Can you just, go into that just a little bit and explain, so people can understand that, this sport is very hard to do and other things that come involved, it takes a toll on you a little bit.
Yeah. Just to be clear, it like made my anxiety 1,000 times like more intense because I always have anxiety. But so basically, how I operated, and I think Bass is another guy who thought this way too after talking to him, is like being able to like hit the e-brake on the inning when you need it, and like be like, all right, let's center in, like feel this like pressure, and then use it to put it into your pitches. Like that always gave me a little umph on the fastball. It always like big spots. I felt like I was backed into a corner, which then I used. But then when it sped up, I realized how long it took me to kind of wind that up. And then I found that I was unable to do it ever. I was like, I can't go get extra here because I don't have time. And so it felt like I was going through the motions because things were going so quickly. And that was wildly frustrating. So frustrating because I'm like, oh no, my superpower. I didn't know until there was a clock on me. And so I had to find a new way to do it. So that's what I spent my whole hiatus doing, like throwing pens and just like putting timers on myself. And like I had like my watch going off every 15 seconds. I was trying to get myself as close to like get my internal clock going. And the best piece of advice I got was, David Robertson didn't say this to me, but Ottavino said that it's what he does, and he just stopped looking at the clock completely. He's like, I'm just going to chance it. If I get a thing, I get a thing. Or get a violation, I get a violation. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I'll just not look at it anymore. And then it just became a non-issue like immediately. So,
really, you didn't look at it? You never were like, I wonder.
Well, there's a couple times where I'm like doing a long hold or something with a guy at first. Like I know I'm holding longer on purpose, then I'll like peek at it real quick. But there's one, let's go.
You're in control of it.
I'm in control of it. And then I also went back to the windup. A lot of guys did that. Back to the windup so you can just take the step, stop the clock. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. So that helped a lot too.
Yeah. On your rhythm. No, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever been on the Phantom IL? We've spoken about it before, or your thoughts on it, because today the news popped up. Billy Epler, who's part of the Mets, is being investigated for that, and we were kind of laughing because we're like, all right, let's see what this actually looks like, because MLB, the Phantom IL has been a thing for a very long time. There's better be something serious, otherwise someone's just trying to be a snitch.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, this is pretty common. Like it's pretty well known. I've never been on the Phantom. It's something that you see way, 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 way more in the minors, I feel like. And now they have developmentalists. So like they just made it legal.
Right.
There's on that list where you can be there and you can do all the stuff. You just can't play. That's the Phantom. Yep. That's what it is. The big league, as you can imagine, for people at home, you can imagine people they don't put people on the Phantom very often in the big leagues because you're paying them a lot of money. And so just having someone hanging out and you're paying, you would rather than be in AAA hanging out if you can, because they're making less money, which sucks for them and sucks for a lot of people, but it's just the way it is. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Billy, frankly, I played for Billy for a year. I don't remember anything really out of the ordinary. Anything that I noticed was like, that's weird. Like, wow, it all felt kind of normal. So it is going to be interesting to see what exactly are we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. And I like how it's like the Phantom.
It's a good word.
You know what I'm saying? Like that should show how common it is too, where you're like, oh yeah, he's going on the Phantom. Right.
Everybody knows what that means.
Exactly. Well,
it used to be like turf toe or tennis elbow. Like they used to say turf toe. Like no one knows what turf toe is. Now they can't do that. They can't use turf toe because they know that means Phantom. So they can't use it anymore. It's like outlawed.
Hey. And turf toe is no joke. Don't give a man turf toe. Turf toe is it's like a hangnail. Like you sound like a pansy for having it, but when you get it, you're like, I don't even want this. I don't want it. It hurts.
Listen, if you're on the Phantom DL as a catcher, you are going to in the minor leagues. You're going to be used and abused from morning to night that day.
Oh,
you remember those?
They're flying in big leaguers for me to catch pens at 9 a.m. to fly them out, and then you go to the game and you're on the Phantom IL in the minor leagues is no joke. That's the jungle down there. Trevor, you don't know about the jungle. You don't know about New Britain, Rock Cat's jungle anymore. I
knew about it then. We didn't even have a batting cage. Someone burned it down, and then they just didn't rebuild it.
Your batting cage was a tarp. It was a metal Pop 2 tarp. Yeah. Anyway, New Britain, that's another level. That's for the.
They don't have a team anymore. Thank God. Yeah, so
yeah. Yes.
Hey, for the off season, how much are you going to watch these games the next few weeks? Do you care? Do you watch? Are you locked in?
Oh, I love playoff baseball. Like we always talk trash all year about like I ain't gonna watch baseball games ever when I'm done playing, and then immediately you're watching playoff games and breaking them down. I do like watch parties sometimes, and like just kind of I try to Romo it and guess pitches and guess what we're gonna do and guess the score. So I enjoy that kind of stuff. I like kind of going along with guys that I played against and played with, and now I've played with like half the players in the playoffs, so it's like there's someone to root for. And so I was like rooting for the Twins to break the streak because I'm part of the streak. I'm glad that's over. Thank God. And now I'm rooting for them to beat the Astros because we really want everyone to beat the Astros over here.
Do you feel yourself actually rooting? Because when I played and I wasn't in the playoffs, I would sit there and I would go, yeah, I kind of want the Rays to win. I know 5 guys that are on the Rays, and then the Rays start winning. I'm like, I was a little jealous. I'm a little like I'm not sure if I want like.
I know what you're saying.
Do you have that feeling, or you're still active? Because now I can root for teams.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that there's part of me like I could do that, or like
exactly.
So I got a confession. I came home last year. We came home a little bit earlier after getting eliminated from the wild card, and I went to the that 18-inning Mariners game. I took a couple of my buddies who really wanted to go. I was like, I'll get us tickets. We'll go. And we left in the top of the 17 because I was like, this is awful. You know how many innings I've watched this year, and I'm here? What are we doing? But I went to the game, and the whole time I was just like, that's what he's doing. This is what's going on there. And just like telling them because I'm like, I know. And they're like, Trevor, we get it. We've seen you play against the Mariners. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm just saying. I've been out there. I go out there all the time. I'm always out there. So see that door right there? I walk through that door all the time.
So you
look
felt,
how cool
so
I
you,
am.
So you felt a little. You were a little jealous. You were a little insecure. You needed to like tell them like it wasn't my fault. I would have thrown a sweeper there.
The sweeper.
You should have thrown a sweeper. What are you doing? It's obvious.
Did you guys do that at games? Like if you go to a game now?
No, I mean, not really. No, do you?
You definitely do it.
Yeah, you did.
100%.
Listen, well, when you're announcing the game, you're like, oh man,
right? You just did. You just called games.
Yeah, I'm usually spot on, so I don't miss the pitches. All right.
No, I love my oldest and I. When we watch a game, we'll try to guess to see what pitch they're coming, and he'll say something. I'll be like, I wouldn't go there because of this. And he's like, well, how can I even argue with you, Dad? Like, of course you know. I'm like, no, that's not right. I said, I'm just telling you what I know. That doesn't mean it's going to happen in this situation. So when he gets it right, when I'm like, I just wouldn't go breaking ball, and it's a breaking ball and it's whacked, he's like, yeah, I knew it. He should have. So I think that's fun.
That is fun.
Hey, Trevor, if you were commissioner of baseball for a day and you could do anything, and commissioner's really CEO, so it doesn't have to be a rule change. It could be a business change. It could be something crazy you want to implement. What's something that you think would be cool, entertaining, good for the game, good for business, whatever?
This one's very specific. I've actually put a lot of thought in this. The ballpark app or the MLB app, I would focus really heavily on the customization of it. So like being able to pick different camera angles, being able to pick different broadcasts and like mix and match how you want it the broadcast to be. I know there's a little bit of that, but it'd be cool to like, for example, be able just to patch into the Mariners like cam that's going around the whole time and just be in that the whole time because it's on. Like they just switched to it, right? And they have the ability to do this stuff. So it's like, I know some of it's in the works, but I think it would be cool to be able to like do that and like try to give people different ways to consume the game outside of just seeing it from behind home plate and listening to the same two people every time, or picking like, especially if it's a team that's not your team. Like if you don't like either group of commentators or whatever, you can listen to the radio or whatever it is. I think that'd be pretty cool.
What about, can I couple off of that? Because I love that idea. Can I couple off of
this,
that?
By the way, like off camera, he was like,
I definitely fist pumped. Like, I love this idea because we are in a customization world. What if there was cameras for each player, and you go on the app and you're like, boom, I'm a Phillies fan. I love Bryce Harper. I'm going to watch the game in split screen, and I'm going to pay $4.99 a month, and I'm going to have a split screen of just Bryce Harper with some type of audio of hearing him. Not saying that the audio is in, but like you can still see the game. But now you're like, or more applicable, hey, I'm starting to play second base. I want to watch Bryson Stott move around. It's just a camera just on him, and you can still watch the game.
That would be, I think that'd be awesome. And I know that a lot of the hang up for that stuff, especially if it's like a POV thing. So like it'd be guys wearing cameras. So then the PA would be like, well, we need to be paid for that. And then MLB's like, we don't like paying you stuff for stuff. And now we have an issue. So like that's where it would come down to. Also, the way MLB owns, I've done a lot of research on this too. The way the media rights for the MLB work, they're very, 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 very rigid. And they've done a good job of locking that stuff up. So when like that gets suggested to players, and you guys know this just as well as anybody else, players are like, what do I get? And usually it's nothing. So there would have to be something. Guys would have to want to do it, but I think more guys are coming around. Like Julio Rodriguez would just wear it. Like I would just wear it. Honestly, sure. I want to be mic'd up every time I pitch so that I can be like, hey guys, what should I throw here? And then when it doesn't go well, but what are you thinking? How dare you? Like I gotta save this game. How dare you pick that pitch?
You go back to your 2014 days and you're starting and you're in the 47th pitch of a wild card game, like, and you're mic'd up and you're like, what? Why is my manager coming? guys, hang on. Hang on. Don't listen to what I'm saying. What do you have to say?
Oh God. I don't know. I don't know how well I'd be able to keep that frustration down. I think that, if Snell were watching that, he had some PTSD flashbacks a little bit too. Yeah. So those situations are crazy, especially when that's the plan. You follow the plan doesn't work out, and then now all we're doing is talking about the plan. Even if the plan worked, we wouldn't mention the plan. So it's just one of those things. But I'm always a proponent of like, just guys got stuff going, man. Just like that's the romantic part about the game. Like, just let someone do something that you might not have projected them to do once in a while. That's all I'm saying, because I think that's fun. And at the end of the day, it's a sport where people play against other people. So it's the same thing with like the ABS. Like, do we really need ABS, or having guys mess up calls? Is that a good thing for baseball? I think it is. I think it's yelling at an umpire is part of the game.
It's a good question. But you said, you alluded to it too. That was a decision that was made ahead of time. So you were told as the starting pitcher in the clubhouse, hey, this is something that's going to come. What's the conversation if somebody tells you that? If somebody says, hey, this might happen, are you flipping the chair in front of you? Are you like, oh, okay, coach?
Yeah, I think when it comes down to that, like, you guys have played playoff games. You're like, whatever we need to do to win. Like you're like, you're like, it's not going to matter because I'm going to be shoving. It's like, you don't really even think that it's going to be a problem. And then you realize that you are shoving and it happens anyways. You're like, oh, like this was happening no matter what. I think that that's probably, knowing Jose too, and playing with him for several years, like, yeah, he was definitely like, whatever you need, whatever you think is best, I'm going to give you everything I got. And it's really easy kind of in hindsight to look back and be like, man, you should have let me in. You know what I mean? So I guarantee you that's how it went down. But after the fact, yeah, I'm frustrated, especially when I like got into that zone and then was just ripped out of it immediately. And then watching yourself get eliminated. That would be very, very frustrating for a very long time for sure.
All right. So one last one. I saw the picture in the back. Okay. You were in Oakland. They're moving to Vegas. Mm-hmm. What's a better chance? Oakland succeeding in Vegas, or Oakland eventually moving to Isengard?
I'll say succeeding in Vegas because a lot of those guys that I played with are going to probably be on that Vegas team, and I want them to succeed. I from a bit, I try not to worry too much about the business side because I'm frankly getting really tired of hearing it's a business over and over again. So, do what you will, take the team where you're going to take it. At the end of the day, there's no control, but like I said before, it's the same thing with the projectability of everything and everything everywhere all the time. Now we're just projecting value. We're not actually looking at where it is, what's happening in front of us anymore. We're just predicting the future constantly. We just look at what Jerry DiPoto said the other day. It's just like at some point you just got to like go with how it feels at the moment. And I loved Oakland fans playing against them. Even with how many were there this year, that reverse boycott game was absolutely electric. Like they show like that if they choose to, they like to be there and they just feel off put from the team. So like, I think that it just sucks. It sucks all around for everybody. I just hope they find a way to enjoy it and move forward and like buy in, but it's not been great so far.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix that because the gatekeepers are the gatekeepers. It's usually like my dad's super rich. He gave me the team. I don't really know what's going on here.
And they're going to be around. Trevor May is going to be done. Todd Frazier is going to be done. Eric Kratz is going to be done.
Right.
And the
they don't go.
And the next Nick Allen is going to be around to play for him, and someone else is going to be playing. And we're going to talk with a minor league prospect. He's going to be playing. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll keep fighting the good fight, talking about it on here because we don't hold back.
No.
Trevor, dude, it was awesome getting you on here for the first time. For everyone, follow him at I am Trevor May, and we'll post some of this stuff on there. But, dude, anytime, obviously, this was great. Really enjoyed it. Happy off season and keep doing your thing.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate you. It was a pleasure.
Cheers. Yeah, it was great. Trevor May on FT Live.